Hey guys, welcome back. So now we're on Matthew chapter 5. I'm really excited about this chapter. We're going to be spending a lot of time in it. So be prepared. This chapter will probably end up being 4 videos. So we'll spend most of the week going through just one chapter of the Sermon on the Mount. So at the end of chapter 4, it's just a little bit of review. Jesus is going from place to place, right? And he's healing the sick, he's casting out demons, and there are crowds developing around him, and he's proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. And that word gospel means good news. And so Jesus is proclaiming good news of the kingdom of heaven. And so at the beginning of chapter 5, we see as these crowds start to form, Jesus sits on the side of a mountain and he begins to teach them. And he teaches them starting out with what we call the Beatitudes. So I'm gonna read the Beatitudes real quick, and then we'll break it down. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you." So Jesus is starting out his teaching with these um, blessings and promises. And the best way that I can explain why Jesus does this is to say that God sees you. So all these people who are following Jesus, right, and sitting down and listening to him to teach are coming from all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of families and walks of life, right? And he starts out by saying, God sees you. God sees your broken spirit. God sees it when you're mourning. God sees you and your hunger and thirst for righteousness. He sees how meek you are, and he sees how you have a pure heart. So everyone is being related to in this moment, and then he starts giving them promises. So if you're mourning, right, blessed are those who mourn, for you will be comforted. And so every four is a promise according to the gospel of the kingdom, right? According to the good news of the kingdom, Jesus is teaching these people, if you're in this situation, well, the kingdom of heaven is like this, in a way that this is your promise, right? If you hunger and thirst for righteousness, you're going to be satisfied. And if you're persecuted for my sake, well, your reward is great in heaven. And Jesus' ministry just began too, so it's interesting that he throws in the kind of persecution people are already facing for following him, and then even future persecution that will follow. And so we can find ourselves in our ministry now, whether we're serving the Lord now or relating to the people in this moment as Matthew recounts this event. They each have promises from the Lord. So um, after he teaches hope, after he brings good news to them, because remember at the end of chapter 4, this is what he was doing. He was proclaiming the gospel of the kingdom. He then begins to cast identity over the people. He starts to tell them, well, you're the salt of the earth. And then he tells them, you're the light of the world. And like a city built on a hill, it can't be hidden. So, in the same way, your purpose, your sole purpose, right, is to be salt and light in the world. If we are salt and light, then everything we're going through, right, has a purpose. So think of it like this: when Jesus was teaching was teaching these people, was teaching his followers, if you're mourning, you'll be comforted. If you're meek, you'll inherit the earth. He's relating to them and saying what you're going through, right, on an individual level, right, you're seen and there's a promise for you. But what you're going through is much bigger than just you. right? Because you're salt, and not just salt, but you're salt of the earth, and you're light, and not just light for you, but light for the world. And so our greatest purpose is to be salt and light, because every other sub identification, every other way we could be identified, whether it be we're a mom or a dad, whether we're a student, an athlete, a professional in our career, all those things come with disappointments when we don't live up to those expectations, when those things are ripped from our life, whether we voluntarily leave them behind or whether life takes them from us. The reality is that there's no identity greater than the identity God gives us. And when Jesus tells us we're salt and light, the greatest satisfaction that we can have is being a representation of God and Jesus to the world. And so when we go through situations and Jesus is telling us, hey, you're blessed for this, and the promise is you will inherit the kingdom of heaven, the promise is you'll be called sons of God, the promise is you will see God, the promise is you will be satisfied. All of those things aren't only just for you, but for everyone else in the world to taste and see that the Lord is good. So I'm going to leave it at that. Um, that's part 1 of chapter 5. And yeah, we'll continue on tomorrow in the next video. So yeah, I hope you guys do well. I hope you guys are doing well. Love y'all. Bye.